We're driving right now along the Creole Nature Trail highway, and as you can see, we're coming through some beautiful marsh. This is kind of an intermediate marsh. I wouldn't call it exactly fresh, but there's a lot of familiar freshwater vegetation that you see in it. And the closer we get to the Gulf of Mexico, which is not that far away, it'll turn into some saline marshes and then finally beaches and then the offshore salt water of the Gulf of Mexico. I'm standing on the narrow strip but high ground of an oak chenier. This is part of the Creole Nature Trail. This chenier, although not very wide, runs parallel to the shoreline of the Gulf of Mexico. If you look just to the south, you'll see flat marsh. But right here are some majestic oaks that for over a century have withstood the test of some vicious storms.
We continue our journey down the Creole Nature Trail, an area rich with wildlife. Here at Rockefeller Refuge, a commitment to conservation was made over a century ago, a commitment that is still in effect to this day.
Today we're celebrating 100 years of Rockefeller Refuge being donated to the Louisiana Department of Wildlife Refuge.
In the early 1900s, famed businessman and conservationist E.A. McElhinney became interested in 86,000 acres of property in Vermilion and Cameron parishes, where he had a vision of creating a wildlife refuge.
I think if he were here, he would be incredibly proud of what the Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge has meant not only to the state of Louisiana, to the local community, not only to conservation efforts in the area, but really conservation efforts on a worldwide level.
So E.A. McElhinney got the Rockefellers to purchase the property and then donate it to the state of Louisiana, which was the Conservation Commission back then, which is now known as Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries.
Because 100 years ago, there were not a lot of people with that kind of conservation pioneering vision to recognize that resources are not unexploitable, and there is a finite amount of resource, and that we do have impacts on those resources.
Of all the bountiful, shrimp, crabs, the birds, the ducks, alligators, it's just such a productive area that we have on this property. It just makes it a crown jewel for the state of Louisiana.
Today, Rockefeller Wildlife Refuge additionally serves as an outdoor laboratory for research on marsh management, wildlife, and fisheries.
I have 15 different impoundment complexes where we can manage water levels, we can manage salinity, and by being able to manage, we can even further increase wildlife populations on this refuge.
And people who come here and visit do the same thing. They fall in love with it.
It's a recreational outlet for wildlife watchers, tourists, and all who appreciate nature.
Citizens of Louisiana can come here with their families, and that's the opportunity I think we oftentimes don't take advantage of.